So today we'll talk about a very special stock. It is one of my main positions. I have this stock both in my personal portfolio as well as in my family's, and my average price stands at around 6 cents, as you can see here. So that's the stock we'll discuss today. First, I will review which company this is, explaining its business. Then I will share with you the 3 main reasons why I believe this investment thesis will be successful. And lastly, we'll talk about the upside potential we could have here, as well as about the risks. Now, before we begin, nothing in this video is investment advice, okay? And with that said, let's get started. So first, which stock am I talking about? So today's company is called Reclaim, and its shares are listed both in Canada, ticker MyID, and also in the US, on the OTC, under MyIDF. And well, Reclaim is basically a microcap company with a market cap in the $7 million range only. So, pretty tiny company, right? But okay, now what does this company do, right? So, Reclaim is a marketplace of private data, of compliant private data. Now, what does that mean, right? So to understand what Reclaim does, first we need to understand the big shift that's happening today regarding online privacy. You see, over the past decades, we all got used to big tech companies secretly collecting our browsing data, right? And well, there was simply nothing we could do about it. They didn't ask for permission, and they didn't have to answer to anyone. However, that is changing. You see, a major shift has taken place in the digital privacy space over the past few years. Now companies can no longer just collect your data without your permission. They have to explicitly ask for it. And they also have to give you the option to delete your data from their databases if you want to. So, things are changing. And today, dozens of US states have already embraced consumer privacy laws, such as the California Consumer Privacy Act and the California Delete Act. So if back then your data, your personal data, was like no man's land, free on the internet for anyone to collect and sell, now things are getting different. Now things are changing. And the idea is that in the end, our data belongs to us, and we have the right to choose what to do with it. But in the end, that's our decision. Now, if you think that's bullshit and that you can simply ignore these laws and life goes on, well, then think again, because not following these regulations can get very expensive. Very expensive. For example, both Google and Meta were recently fined over $1 billion each in Texas for violating user privacy. So yeah, these fines can be really costly. In any case, that's the context where today's company, Reclaim, fits in. And as I said in the beginning of this video, Reclaim operates as a consumer data marketplace. Now, what does that mean, right? So, as we've seen, now companies need to start using compliant data. They cannot simply buy your data somewhere without your consent, and that's it. However, the question is, where do you find that? Where do you find compliant data on a massive scale? So, that's the problem Reclaim aims to solve. But how? Well, as I said, Reclaim is a marketplace of consumer private data. It is kind of like Uber, you know? So it operates connecting sellers of private data, users like you and me, and buyers of private data, such as big tech companies. This way, companies can get the compliant data they so badly need, while users can make money with their own data. So that's where you find compliant data on a massive scale on Reclaim's platform. However, Reclaim goes beyond that, because they also have another product called Reclaim Protect that does something different. You see, it is true that many of us would be happy to make money selling our own private data. However, many people would also simply prefer to take their data out of the internet, keeping it private. In other words, many people simply want to remove their data from circulation. And well, that's exactly what this product, Reclaim Protect, does. It scans the internet for your data, removing it from circulation, and keeps monitoring things to see if your data has leaked again in any breach. So that's pretty much what this company Reclaim does. Now, with that covered, let's now talk about the three main reasons why I believe Reclaim will be a successful investment story. So, first reason. First, Reclaim has the wind at its back. It is one of the first companies to arrive in a completely new area that should only grow, the area of consumer-consented private data. You see, the first American law on the subject, the California Consumer Privacy Act, appeared in 2020, only a few years ago, so it is quite new. Still, this trend has gained so much strength that today 20 US states already have this kind of privacy law, including major markets such as Texas, Florida, Virginia, and California. And this number should only go up, since more US states may create new privacy laws, such as these, which means that the demand for compliant data should only grow as well. And well, Reclaim is exactly positioned to ride this wave. So that's the first reason why I believe Reclaim will be a successful investment story, because they are very well positioned to catch the beginning of a very strong trend. And well, of course, it is always easier to move forward when the wind is in your favor, right? Now, the second reason that gives me so much conviction that Reclaim will be successful is its business model and the numbers the company is already showing. Okay, let's understand that step by step. First, why do I like Reclaim's business model? Well, in the first place, because it is very scalable and also very asset light. Besides, Reclaim's business also has a huge network effect, which means that the more companies arrive on Reclaim's platform looking for compliant private data to buy, the more sellers get attracted, which in turn attracts more private data buyers. So that means that Reclaim could enter a virtuous cycle of growth. So in other words, this company could grow exponentially. So that's why I really like Reclaim's business model, because it is asset light, super scalable, and has a strong network effect. So if the management team indeed executes, indeed delivers, and I believe they have very strong incentives to do so, as we'll soon see, but if the management team indeed delivers, well then, I think Reclaim could post excellent numbers because the business model is very good, right? And again, as always, nothing in this video is investment advice, okay? Now, speaking about Reclaim's numbers, you see, this company is actually already posting very good results, very strong results. For example, Reclaim is growing considerably. As you can see here, Reclaim's revenue went from $0.8 million in 2021 to the current $4 million. And I think growth will accelerate, both because of the growing demand for compliant private data, but also because of the network effect this business has. So yeah, Reclaim is growing considerably. Besides, this business also has an amazing gross margin, as you can see here, at above 75%. And it is also getting closer and closer to break even. I mean, as we can see here, Reclaim's operating margin over the last 12 months stood at only negative 6.7%. Now, I know that's still negative. However, the important thing for us here is that the company is progressing and getting closer and closer to turning positive. Actually, on a quarterly basis, Reclaim has just delivered an impressive 19% operating margin, which is amazing. And with that, it also posted net profits with a net margin of 20%, which is phenomenal. So yeah, that's the second reason why I think this investment case will be successful, because the business model is very good, while the company is actually already posting strong numbers. Now finally, let's talk about the third reason why I think Reclaim will succeed. You see, to deliver strong numbers, the management team needs to execute, needs to deliver. And I think that Reclaim's management team will indeed deliver, or at least do everything possible to do that. Now, why do I say that? Because as you can see here, the CEO himself owns 35% of the company. So in other words, He simply has a lot of skin in the game here. So that's why I think Neil Sweeney, Reclaim CEO, will do everything in his power to deliver strong results because, well, it is simply in his interest. In the end, he has every incentive in the world to do so, to deliver the strongest possible results, right? Because in the end, Reclaim is his company. So that's the third aspect that gives me so much conviction in this investment thesis. Now it's finally time for us to talk about Reclaim's upside. And here let me tell you, I think Reclaim's upside potential could be massive, really massive. You see, the thing is that this stock is so cheap, in my view, while this business has so much quality that even using conservative premises, we already find a huge upside. Now, what do I mean? So, for example, as you can see here, today, Reclaim's enterprise value stands at only $7.6 million, while the company is generating $4 million in revenue. So that means that Reclaim is trading at an enterprise value to sales multiple of 1.9 times. Now, it is true that that's not the cheapest multiple on earth, right? However, I think Reclaim could trade at much higher multiples than that, especially when growth starts to accelerate. But yeah, I think Reclaim could trade at extreme multiples, such as 5 times sales, 10 times, even 20 times sales, especially in exuberant market conditions. After all, Reclaim has excellent margins, strong insider ownership, and also a huge network effect. Besides, the business model is great, and the company is also very well positioned in a super growing market. So yeah, I think Reclaim could indeed trade at very high multiples. Now, would it be too aggressive to consider that Reclaim's revenue could get to, let's say, $10 million in 5 years? Well, honestly, I don't think that's aggressive at all. Now, using a 5 times price to sales multiple, that would put this company at a market cap of about $50 million. So, 7 times the current levels, okay? So that's why I said this stock could deliver very strong results even with conservative premises. But you see, you are pretty much free to do the math considering $50 million in revenue instead of only 10, right? And actually, that would still be conservative. I think we could say that, considering Reclaim's total addressable market stands at more than 100 billion, as the company tells us on this slide here, right? So yeah, I think we could have a lot of upside here. I mean, let's say Reclaim indeed gets to $50 million in revenue, okay? Let's say that happens. Now, using a 5 times multiple, and considering $50 million in revenue, right? So that would put us at a $250 million market cap. That could happen, okay? It's crazy to consider that now that the company is trading at 6 cents, 6 cents, right? At a market cap of only $7 million. However, over the long run, that could happen. And again, nothing in this video, as always, is investment advice, okay? But if that happened, if Reclaim indeed got to a $250 million market cap, but that would represent a total return from current levels of 35 times, okay? So yeah, Reclaim could indeed deliver massive returns. Now you see, to close this video, let's talk about risks, because it's always easy to get excited about the potential returns of an investment. Now, what about the risks, right? Well, honestly, the risks here are many. For example, the company could fail to execute, it could start burning a lot of cash, losing a lot of money, it could be crushed, it could be destroyed by the competition. We could also see dilution here. The company could also take on debt. So yeah, you have all these risks here. And in the end, yes, you could eventually lose all your capital here. Losses could get to 100%. Okay, keep that in mind. However, well, that applies to every investment in the world, right? You are always risking 100% in the end. But anyway, my point here is, yes, the upside is phenomenal, but it certainly doesn't come without risks. Keep that in mind. Now, even so, this investment thesis has captured my attention so much, and this company is trading at such reasonable levels, that I decided to risk even my family's money here buying Reclaim shares at around 6 cents. So that's the stock I bought. Anyway, that's it for today, and see you next time.